the compartmentalization of news. We stopped, myself and a few others in this town, stopped the Delta Force from coming and doing secret military training and paying off our police chief. Now, the San Antonio police chief, a man that you ought to be aware of, is Al A. Philippus, and I went down and got an interview face-to-face on videotape, and I've actually played the audio here on the show several times, where he said they tried to bribe him. They were very unprofessional. No was never no. They were out of their jurisdiction, and they wanted to use live ammunition. They're practicing taking over police stations. Shouldn't our police realize that they're going to be some of the first people that will be going?
Well, they might if they weren't stupid sheeple like the rest of the herd. But the truth is, the policemen came right out of the community where the sheeple live. Why would anybody think that they're going to be any smarter than the rest of the animals out there?
So you think that most of them will go along? Well, I told Philippus to his face on tape, I said, well, what you've done here, sir, you're probably going to pay for in the future.
Well, it's absolutely true. He is a big exception. There are only about 3 sheriffs in the entire country who know what their authority is and have the guts to take a stand. This is the only police chief that I've ever heard of who's taken the proper stand. So if you want to know if they're going to go along with it, yeah, they'll go along with it to get their little paycheck. See, they've sold their country out for what, $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year? That's pretty cheap, isn't it?
It's pretty sick. It is.
And for maybe they'll get a retirement check in 20 or 30 years. So they sold their whole country out. They sold their children's future. They sold their grandchildren's future and their great-grandchildren whom they haven't even seen yet.
Now, Mr. Cooper, I understand what you're talking about, and I find out more every day. Just a year ago, I still couldn't accept some of this, and I mean, even you yourself, when I talked to you last week, said it took you years of studying a long time ago to finally understand it all. And people's mindset, they think of the government as made up of the same go-along, get-alongs. They don't understand the avarice and just how vicious and demented and inbred these people are.
Well, in the first place, you're wrong in your premise. They don't think at all. That's why commercials are 30 seconds long. That is the attention span of the average American sheeple. They can't think beyond 30 seconds. That's why no American company, our business, our group plans ahead more than about 2 or 3 months.
That's true. We have no long-term strategic goal for this country.
That's right, and that's why we're getting beat by the Marxist socialist communists, because they have 5-year plans, 10-year plans, 15-year plans, 25-year plans, and 50-year plans, and they stick to them.
Man, absolutely. Well, it's scary then. What's going to happen? It's just going to be, I think that
either the American people are going to become slaves within just a few years, and it's going to be an enslavement like nobody can even dream of, and it's going to extend worldwide, and we're the only people that can stop it, because we're the only people in the world still who have the capability,
have the arms,
and the arms to be able to stop it. Or there's going to be a civil war which will last between 5 and 15 years to restore constitutional Republican government and freedom and liberty worldwide.
Well, that's the point. Even though most people are sheep, there is that between 5 and 10 million people that once it starts, I think more people will come out. And honestly, I don't want this to happen. This is just going to wreck the nation.
I don't want it to happen either. Ever since I saw the plan back in 1971 and 72 when I was on the intelligence briefing team for CINCPAC Fleet to bring about one world totalitarian socialist government, and when I saw that the United States was behind the whole thing, this is not coming from without. The United States created the United Nations.
Yes,
the United States created the European Union that has just been formed.
Well, you're saying the United
States is acting as the world police force right now.
Well, you're saying the United States. Wouldn't you say a foreign aristocracy out of New York and Boston that controls our nation?
The United States.
Okay,
who? United States. With its headquarters in Washington, D.C.
District of Columbia.
It is the stated and avowed policy of the United States government to create world government over the ashes of all sovereign nations and existing religions around this world.
Why don't you...
I'm telling you that I saw that plan while I was in the Office of Naval Intelligence. on the intelligence briefing team, the Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet.
Would you elaborate on that just a little bit?
That's what Behold a Pale Horse is all about.
I understand.
That's what's in that book.
Well, I know the story, but a lot of people that are listening, and I'm sure that will go out and get Behold a Pale Horse, will talk about those military briefings. And I guess these people were proud that they were part of this power?
Oh, absolutely. This has been a goal for this. It's the reason this country was founded, and Americans don't understand that. The founding fathers, many of them were deists. They were members of the secret societies. Some of them were members of the Illuminati. They created this country and gave the common man freedom for the first time in the history of the world, made him a king in his own right. They told him what he had to do to keep his freedom and what he would lose if he didn't do it. And when they did this, giving the common man freedom, it toppled all the kings and queens off their thrones all around the world, and that was the major goal of establishing this country. If the common man could have been vigilant and maintained his freedom and not given in to the I want, and I deserve, and you got to feed me, and you got to do this, and you got to take care of me, and change my diaper, and wipe my butt, and get me a job, and entertain me, and all that kind of stuff, which always leads back into what they call democracy, which always leads into socialism, which end goal stated by Marx and Lenin is communism.
What did you first think?
Said democracy is absolutely indispensable to socialism.
What did you first think when you saw this openly being discussed in the top levels of the military?
Well, it shocked the hell out of me, but they thought I was one of them. It was an accident that I got in there. I'd been a member of the Demolay Society when I was 13 years old, only attended 3 meetings, and then my father was transferred to Japan. I never saw another lodge and never went to another meeting, and that was the end of that. And I filled out all my documentation for my top-secret QSI security clearance, which was required to be able to work in the command center and on the briefing team at CINPAC Fleet. I didn't see Demolay on there, so I checked Freemason. And when I checked Freemason, that's what opened all the doors and got me the security clearance and put me in those positions to be able to see what I saw. And I think the hand of God was working when that happened so that I would be able to warn his people of what was coming. And I've been doing that ever since. I didn't see absolutely everything, but I saw enough to give me an edge and a vast head start on anybody that's ever lived before in the public sector that's not normally privy to this information. And I spent the last, well, ever since, researching to find out what it all meant and where we're going.
Well, just to go back to what's happening here locally in Central Texas, we know that there are dozens of different alphabet soup agencies that have the helicopters with the night, with the forward infrared looking radar, and all the rest of this. But why are they gearing up like this? Why is our county building a 3-acre under the roof helicopter base? Just the warehouse is 3 acres under the roof. Why are our police going and training at Fort Hood with the military? What does this mean to the public?
Well, because they know what's coming. They know that there's a hardcore group of American men and women who are devout, religious, moral people who love freedom and are dedicated to the concept of liberty and freedom and will fight to protect and defend constitutional Republican government against anything that comes along. And when that begins, it's going to be a terrible, terrible thing. I've spent most of my adult life trying to warn people and wake up enough people so that this did not have to happen, because I know it's going to be terrible.
Now, President Clinton has now openly come out, and I'd actually read what they were pushing 3 years ago, and I was talking about it, about the national ID card and biometrics, thumb scanning, retina scanning. And since '94 in Texas, they've been thumb scanning us to get driver's license, and people just stampede in there like sheep. We had a big protest down there where I was arrested, I guess it's 6 or 8 months ago now. What does it mean to the public when we have one card that our insurance and our credit cards and our bank accounts and our receipts and everything is on that one card?
It means the public is stupid and they're already a hair's breadth away from total enslavement. If they had any brains at all, they would have said, no, I'm not taking that. And if you don't like it, that's tough. And all those businesses and all those driver's license bureaus and all those The revenue that it brings in for all those cities and counties would have just evaporated in smoke, and they would have backed down and said, okay, you don't have to do it. We'll do it another way. But they're too stupid to do that. They don't understand that the power in this country is the power of the people, and that they don't have to do anything that's outside the bounds of the Constitution. And the government can be held within the bounds, the restraints that the Constitution put upon it, that our founding fathers created so that the American people could never be enslaved.
What is the
They knew that
Yes.
nobody could come and invade this country and enslave the American people. The only way it could be done is from within if the American people allowed it to be done.
What is the main goal of biometrics, retina scanning, thumb scanning? In my opinion, it is total loss of control of your destiny. If the IRS doesn't like you now, they'll just come take your house. If the IRS doesn't like you now, they'll just come and garnish your paycheck. But in the future, if they don't like you, they'll shut your card off.
Well, let me give you a vision of the future. There will be no money. There won't be any driver's licenses. There won't be any insurance cards or anything like that. Everybody will have an account on a computer. Everybody will have a computer chip implant somewhere on their body that will access the computer. Everybody, when they go to work, will get so many credits for that work, and they can go out and wave their little computer chip in their hand or whatever it is under a scanner at the supermarket and buy whatever they've got credits to buy. And if they don't have credits, they got to stay home until they get some credits.
Let me stop you for a second. I read this almost every week, at least once, and it's from the April 27th, 1997 Time Magazine, The Future of Money. I'm sure you've read it. And it openly on page 51, and anybody out there that thinks Mr. Cooper or I are BSing you, go read it. And it says the best part, now this is their words, the best part about it is your daughter in the near future can have a chip under her skin and you won't have to buy the drinks for her at the bar. I mean, everything's insane about that paragraph. And the whole 10-page article is about how great So I can't see how anybody would deny this. But I guess most people only see it as a convenience.
What's insane about it is that the American people think that that would be convenient or that that would be good for them. It is the ultimate in-run goal to enslave the populace and to steal what's left that's not already stolen by the elite who are engineering and machinizing all of this stuff to make it come about.
Now,
The goal of a debt-based economy is not to get caught stealing. And that's what they're doing, stealing the wealth and the substance and the nation right out from under us. And that's the only end result that can come out of a debt-based economy. And the only way that they can't get caught is if the people allow them to go to a cashless system. Then they can never get caught. But if they don't go to a cashless system, eventually the economy will collapse and they're going to get caught.
that's exactly it.
And
In
that's
fact,
why they want to go to a cashless system, and that's why they ultimately have to. Anybody understands how this economy works and what the end result of a debt-based economy where the interest is never created or printed and the way that it works.
it's a fiat Ponzi scheme.
That it's got to collapse or they have to go to a totally cashless system in order that they don't get caught and are able to perpetuate the theft.
So what you're saying is that we have a fiat Ponzi scheme, con game government monetary system based on fractional reserve banking, and that the money machines are printing out of control. I talked to Congressman Ron Paul just a few weeks ago, and he said, yes, the Federal Reserve is printing 10% more money into the supply every 6 to 8 months. So this is creating this false prosperity, and the public just loves it, but meanwhile they're just coaxing us in to this cashless society so the fairy tale can continue.
That's exactly right.
Let's go back, and I really appreciate you.
And the only way to keep it going until they do that is to keep creating more money, which creates more inflation, which devalues the value of what everybody is earning and making, and that's why everybody feels more and more strain every year and keeps sucking more and more out of the system through the bogus Internal Revenue Service income tax system, so that they can keep from getting caught as long as possible.
Oh, but that's been reformed. It got reformed last week. Didn't you hear?
Bullshit.
Oh, boy.
Anybody that believes that is not playing with a full... In fact, they're not even playing with a deck of cards. They're playing with matchsticks.
Well, I'll never forget, President Clinton got up there on TV 6-8 months ago, or I guess a year ago now, and drew that big zero on a white piece of paper. And then I had people coming up to me on the street saying, Mr. Jones, have you heard the budget's balanced, the deficit's fixed? That simple thing, it's like they're 3-year-olds.
Well, they are 3-year-olds. That's their mentality. The average American has never had an original thought in his entire life, or her entire life. And if they're not told what to think, they cannot think. And that's the truth. Clinton didn't do anything except eliminate the deficit. You know how you eliminate the deficit? You either don't spend as much so that you stay within the bounds allotted by Congress, or you have Congress pass more allotments so that you can spend more than what you need to spend.
Yeah,
Did not pay off the national debt, did not balance the budget.
Well, yes, if I could give myself endless pay raises, I could go out and buy skyscrapers and 1,000 Cadillacs and 100 Mercedes, as long as I just...
still not have a deficit. A deficit is when you spend more than what you've been given.
Exactly.
That's a deficit. So when he says we got a zero deficit, that means absolutely nothing except Congress is allotting more money for the government to spend, because the government is not spending less. They're spending more than they ever have had.
They are spending more, and they're using this to beef up the police state. It's obvious to anybody that honestly looks at it. Back to what's happening with you. Now, I have run documentaries that you've been involved with many times here on television in Austin, and like Reichstag 95 and others, and those are, people said that those are the most educational and that they do enjoy them. But talk a little bit about how you were at the top of Bill Clinton's FBI list.
Well, ever since 1988, when I began telling the world, not just the American people, but the world, about Majesty 12, which is the plan to enslave the human race in a world totalitarian socialist government, the merger of the military of the United States and what used to be known as the old Soviet Union under NATO, which is occurring now, to create the world police force. Most people don't understand that NATO is an arm of the United Nations. It was formed under the auspices of the United Nations Charter and takes its orders from the Security Council. Warsaw Pact was also formed under the auspices of the United Nations Charter and was an arm of the United Nations and took its orders also from the Security Council. The Cold War was a total farce, and that's why we never had any military conflicts with the Soviet Union.
What is your opinion of the UN passing its new World Court?
Well, if they've passed a World Court, how can they have a World Court if there is sovereign nations? Because sovereign nations are not subject to any courts but their own. So how can they have a world court unless there's a world government to which sovereign nations have given up their sovereignty? Does the Constitution for the United States of America say that we are subject to the dictates or the jurisdiction or the rulings of a world court? Does it say that anywhere in the Constitution?
No, it doesn't. And when I watch the local news, all I hear is how wonderful the United Nations is. Our public are being indoctrinated about this. Sir, I know that you didn't ask me about this, but do you have a 1-800 number or a number where people can order Behold a Pale Horse?
No, I don't have a 1-800 number, and even if I did, they couldn't order because I will not contribute to the debt-based destruction of our economy and
talking about the credit cards,
the property of the American people. So they can't order anything from us by phone. If they want to order